You're listening to a Comics XF podcast.
Matt Lazowitz, and welcome to this week's episode of Bat Chat with Matt and Will, a Batman ranking podcast, where each week my co-host Will Nevin and I dig into 3 Batman stories, discuss them, and rank them on the big board, thus creating a giant list of Batman stories for best to worst. Will, how's it going tonight?
Oh, Matt, it's going. I think tonight's going to be weird because 1, we're not recording on our usual night, and 2, we'll talk about this later, certainly. We only got 3 stories. It's going to be weird.
3 single issues.
Yeah.
It's one of the lightest nights ever.
Yeah. But anyway, let's get to this first portion. Book recommendation of the week. Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby.
Yep.
Fun little thriller.
Mentioned it last week. Have you finished?
Yes, I did finish.
Okay, because you'd only gotten
that I mentioned it.
You were only 50 pages in, you said.
Well, it's only like 300 pages, so not a big heavy lift. A good B action movie with some heart and some comedy. We'll stick with the books before we move on to movies. So as we've talked about, I'm on Goodreads, and Goodreads has little challenges, and I will do goddamn anything for a trinket, even if it's a virtual trinket. And one of the trinkets is read a long book. And there are a bunch of random long books. And then The Stand. So I'm like, I'll fucking read The Stand again. It's been like 25 years since I've read it. Stephen King does not get the credit he deserves for just being a good writer. He's eminently readable prose. And again, I'm going through the Stand, like I said, and I came across this, and it's just so fucking good. And I'm gonna read it. It's a bit of a longer passage, but it is fantastic. So he went down to the men's room and washed the blood off his forehead and went back and kissed his mother again and got $15 from her scuffed black purse and went to the movies at the Lux and watched an insane, malignant revenant named Freddy Krueger suck a number of teenagers into the quicksand of their own dreams, where all but one of them, the heroine, died. Freddy Krueger also appeared to die at the end, but it was hard to tell. And since this movie had a Roman numeral after its name and seemed to be well attended, Larry thought the man with the razors on the tips of his fingers would be back, without knowing that the persistent sound in the row behind him signaled the end to all that. There would be no more sequels, and in a very short time there would be no more movies at all. In the row behind Larry, a man was coughing. God damn it! That's so good!
Oh, you will never get an argument from me that Stephen King is a great writer. He has a problem with endings, not every time, but it's probably a crapshoot. It's probably 50-50 whether you're going to get a banger of an ending or one that falls with kind of a thud.
Under the Dome was not great in terms of endings go.
No, but then you've got endings like The Dead Zone, endings like The Stand, endings like... I will fight people on the actual ending of The Dark Tower is good. The very end. I think the last book has a bunch of problems, but I don't think the actual ending, the last chapter-ish, is one of them. But yeah, Under the Dome is not a great ending. There are weird elements to the ending of It, the book. We'll leave that there. Cujo's not one of my favorite endings. But then again, there's endings like the end of Shawshank, which is wonderful. The end of The Body is wonderful. I'm just sitting here going through King. I could sit here and go through King novels forever. I love the Bill Hodges trilogy. I think the endings of all 3 of those are great.
He just writes such good prose.
And there are very, very few writers who write better characters. You love King's characters. Yes, all of his kids, regardless of the generation, he might update the pop culture references somewhat, but the vibe is always kind of the same. So that's maybe not great, but...
And there's always going to be an everyman in the book.
And usually that everyman is probably a writer.
A
You know,
writer, a teacher, a cowboy.
The Stand is just so freaking good. Every one of those characters is so memorable and so well rounded.
I am trying to get through this now. One for that trinket, and then two to check out that anthology of stand stories.
Yes, I have that. I have to get to it. You get through books at this juncture much faster than I do because you read on the treadmill.
I
When I'm
sure do.
walking, I listen to podcasts. So I get through, 7 to 8 podcasts a day because I'm also walking. I'm not on a treadmill, I'm outside. Reading while walking is doable, but is dangerous. I used to do that, and I'm too old to be that dumb anymore.
And then Matt got hit by a bus.
Well, I would do it when walking around Princeton campus when I worked in Princeton. Like I wasn't on the streets. People would walk around me. But yeah, walking on the street while reading is a bad idea.
All right. So there goes book talk. Moving into movies. This is another bizarre selection from Cardio Cinema. I'm going to give you three cast members, and there's 0% chance you're going to get this movie.
Okay.
0%. None. Terrence Howard,
Okay.
Bernie Mac,
Okay.
Tom Arnold.
No. I generally speaking, if Tom Arnold is in a movie, I'm not there for it. So yeah.
Yeah. So this is a 2007 biopic about Terrence Howard's character, Jim Ellis, and caring janitor Elston. Apparently doesn't have a last name. It's called Pride. Tom Arnold is the rival swimming coach from the Crosstown White School.
Okay. How do I ask this in a way that is not too tacky? Is Terrence Howard's character gay? I mean, is the name, or is this just being
It it,
proud pride? It
it
has nothing to do with.
it's Pride in the swimming team.
Okay, because there's another movie called Pride that is from the UK and has an incredible cast, and that is about here. Based on a true story, depicts a group of lesbian and gay activists who raised money to help the families affected by the British miners' strike in 1984 at the outset of what would become the Lesbian and Gay Support the Miners campaign.
This is definitely not that.
No, because that's a great movie. Bill Nighy, Imelda Staunton, Dominic West, Patty Considine, Andrew Scott. Like that's a really good movie. And I was like, okay, this is not that. That's for sure.
Throughout their struggles in and out of the swimming pool, Jim and Elston encourage and mentor the kids, helping them not only to become successful at swimming, but also in their struggles against prejudice, crime, and poverty.
Okay.
And Tom Arnold is the angry white swim coach.
So if he actually, was a swim coach, he would be Tom Arnold. I don't know if Tom Arnold's a racist. I just know he's angry and white.
Yeah. But continuing with Tom Arnold, I will give you $100 if you can name anything he has done as a major theatrical release since Pride in 2007.
Fuck no. As I said, I don't. If I see Tom Arnold in a movie and it's anything after True Lies, that is a good indicator this is probably not a movie for Matt.
I will say he was in a thing called Airplane 2025 in 2025. In 23, he was in Ape versus Mecha Ape.
Okay, that might win me over just because it's Ape versus Mecha Ape. Ape trumps Tom Arnold, unless he was playing the ape.
He was Hamilton in Ape versus Mecha Ape. Yeah, so that's how his career is going. Oh, weird thing. 2024 to 2025 did a 3 episode stint on The Bold and the Beautiful.
Huh. So usually soap operas are where you start your career, not where it goes to die.
I know, right? But hey, he's at the famous for being famous stage of his career and still chugging along. Good on you, Tom Arnold. Which is more than we can say for Terrence Howard at this point.
He had that series on Fox that lasted for quite some time.
Yeah, but he's also insane.
That's fair.
Oh, what movies have you seen lately?
I saw Exit 8, which is a Japanese kind of a horror movie, kind of a sci-fi movie. It is apparently based on a video game, which I did not know when I saw it, and is just it's this guy gets off of a subway train, walks into the station, and winds up getting caught in this loop where he's walking around, and there's a sign that warns him, look for an anomaly. If you see an anomaly, turn back. So it's Groundhog's Day light.
Yeah.
Groundhog Day. But it winds him and other people who are trapped, and him coming to terms with various issues that he has in life through this. It was good. I mean, visually it looked really good. I saw that and a found footage horror movie called Hunting Matthew Nichols that was meh, perfectly fine. This weekend is the exciting weekend. This weekend is Normal, which is Bob Odenkirk following the Liam Neeson mold of I'm going to do a bunch of these type of movies.
We could not have predicted it, but I ain't mad about it.
Nope. And The Christophers, the new Steven Soderbergh starring Ian McKellen.
That should be interesting.
It looks like a small personal drama. McKellen is a famous artist who is approaching the end of his life,
Ah, The Lion in Winter.
and his kids hire an art forger to work with him to finish some of his paintings that were left unfinished. And it's, I guess, him and the forger, this young black woman, developing, back and forth and a relationship, not romantic, but a rapport between them. And Lee Cronin's The Mummy, which looks like a big horror movie. I'm curious, at least, about that.
Yeah, looks good and spoopy.
Yeah, I'm good on that. Again, Amber's away, so I am going to see all four. I only saw 3 movies because I wound up having to do a bunch of other stuff and was too damn tired by the end of Sunday to go and see another movie. But I'm definitely getting in all 4 next week. That's for sure.
I want to see the Odenkirk movie. I think that'll be a good fun time.
Yeah, absolutely. It looks like it's just going to be another nobody John Wick kind of thing. Like, okay, great. It's going to be a good time. Might not be, a thinker, but it's going to be a good time. You know what else wasn't a thinker?
What was
Any
not
of
a thinker?
tonight's stories.
No, hey, look, that was a masterful segue, but I don't think any of them were terrible, right? For what they were just fine. And if anything, a couple of them just kind of overthought things.
Listen, I've said this. It's one of our sort of regular refrains. We've read way worse stories than anything we're reading tonight.
And certainly way longer.
Yeah, but we're very much in the Silver Age here.
So what the hell are we doing tonight, Matt?
This week, we're tying into a book we already read. We're reading 3 of the American stories that inspired Jiro Kuwata's Batman manga and seeing how they compare to the manga on top of, ranking them as we normally do. Our first story of the night is The Man Who Quit the Human Race. All 3 of tonight's stories, by the way, the titles specifically ended in exclamation points because it's the Silver Age. This is Batman Volume 1, number 165. The writer is Gardner Fox, with pencils by Sheldon Moldoff, inks by Joe Giella. No colorist or letterer is credited, and it is edited by Julia Schwartz. The cover date is August of 1964. Governor Andrew Warner, an old college friend of Bruce Wayne's, has made a shocking discovery. He is a mutant, the next step in human evolution. When his mutation turns him into something malevolent, Batman and Robin must stop him from finishing his transformation and conquering humanity. Start out, I'm going to do it the first time because it's for all 3 stories. Problematic creator watch, noted sexual harasser Julia Schwartz. Guy did a lot of editing. It's fun to me to see just how different this story is in some ways than the next two. These are all goofy, but the difference a year makes between this and the next one, because this, despite it being 1965, still has the vibe of those 50s Batman stories.
Mm.
It's when the quote unquote new look, the yellow oval, the changes to the Bat books that lead into 66, that we see Batman finally start approaching the Silver Age. It shows you how much longer the Golden Age aesthetic lasted in DC books, or at least especially in the Bat books and as well the Superman titles. Because, I mean, we're 1965, all of the major Marvel properties have started by 65. Yet this really feels like goofy, corny 50s comics.
Mm. High sci-fi. Giant mutant monsters, space rockets. As far as the story goes, I think this one held together better than the other two. Just in terms of a narrative. But it makes some strange choices. Like I was kind of thinking about this. There is nothing in this story that made it specifically have to be the governor, right? Like it could have been Bruce Wayne's similarly rich CEO friend, or the mayor, or a senator, or basically any other random, somewhat powerful man in the Batman universe. But no, he's just the governor.
And the connection between the two of them is barely mentioned and is really there just for the convenience of the last minute reveal.
Mm.
A modern story, or frankly, a Marvel story of this era, would have played with a lot of the pathos of Bruce possibly losing his old college roommate to this mutation. But it's really just sort of dropped at the beginning so it can come around again in the end. That Bruce and this guy, Governor Warner, had a connection. But it could have been, yeah, as you said, it could have been anything. It didn't even need to be his college friend. The two of them could have been just friends who saw the same science display at some point or another.
Fucked the same model.
The
Although
mutant,
I don't think that would have been code appropriate.
no, and we'll get to this when we talk about the manga of it, but you can tell just how much more the code is in effect here than in the manga. One thing that this benefits from, by the way, that the manga does not have is this is in color. Because when the whole thing revolves and resolves around something to do with color, the black and white manga is not served by a trick that has to do with color.
No, it doesn't work out as well as you would hope.
Lots of drops of the word mutant. We don't see that much in DC anymore.
Kind of the other guy's shtick.
And this is the first of two stories that use radioactive ray lamps tonight, which is weird.
I will say this, talking about mutants, you know who's not taking the week off?
Who's
Us.
not? Yes, that's true. We don't take weeks off, no matter
Except for
what
when we
it does
did.
to me. We have dropped an episode 235 of the past 236 weeks.
Christ.
We skipped 1 week, and we dropped a bonus episode from the other feed that week. So that was episode 49. We haven't skipped one since episode 49, since between 49 and 50.
Yeah.
This is wild and goofy. Here, Batman, use this device that tracks the mutant gland. Not, the fact that he's radioactive. You're not going to use a Geiger counter. Nope. It's a thing that tracks the mutant gland.
The mutant gland that we just discovered.
Yeah, and how exactly did they know what to do to enhance the mutant gland? How did they have the tests to discover the mutant gland? If there was an extra growth by your pituitary, you know what I would assume that was? Cancer. I I would have just gone in and been like, okay, we've got to remove that because you've got a weird growth. That's probably best to remove just to play it safe. And the mutant conveniently has whatever power is needed for him for this particular moment of the story.
Oh yeah, he can grow real big. He can jump.
He can teleport, he can create, I believe they call it hardened air.
Ah, yes.
He can
Sometimes
make
you need that hardened air.
he can make you change colors.
Well, I mean, that's just fun.
I think we're going to spend a lot of time tonight, like just poking at all the weird leaps of logic in these stories in a loving way, because that is what you do with the Silver Age. You poke at them in loving ways. They're in this radiation lab at the end because the mutant needs to expose itself to gamma rays to become invincible.
Get rid of the last bits of humanity.
Distinctly, removed from any other, noted comic book creatures that might use gamma rays.
Totally separate.
Batman remembers this thing and conveniently finds a sheet of gold foil just there. Why exactly is there a sheet of gold foil just lying around, gold leaf on a desk in this research lab?
So they were making cupcakes and they were gonna shred the gold leaf for the cupcakes because you can eat gold leaf and it'll come out the other end and your dookie will twinkle.
Terrifying. I don't want my dookie to twinkle.
I can steal Chappelle jokes because he's a terrible person.
But yeah, it's conveniently there for Batman to create green light to stop the monster.
Aha!
Again, green has nothing to do with any other comic book gamma ray related monster at all.
No.
Now, did you go back and reread or review the Batmanga?
Now that you mention it, it seems like a logical thing to have done. But I did not.
You didn't get my Slack note about doing that, did you?
Oh, I did not.
Stupid Slack notifications that you don't see.
Oh, boy.
So, the major difference, and let's see how much of this, comes back to you, is that in the manga, the governor has a daughter.
I do remember that.
Who was also going to turn into a mutant. This whole thing with the daughter and his humanity and her that isn't here at all. Added that whole other element. And also, it opens with Batman and Robin finding a corpse. None of these stories feature anyone dying. And there's a lot of death in the manga. He doesn't find a corpse. They just find a guy that the governor who is wandering in his sleep, who's sleepwalking, knocked about the head and neck. And the governor dies at the end of the manga. The Green Ray kills him. Here he's just in suspended animation.
Orbiting the sun.
And there is a whole thing in the manga about the governor asking Batman, if I turn into some kind of evil monster, I need you to kill me. And Batman's being like, I can't do that. I don't kill. Not here either.
Not even if you're a monster.
Not even if you are a giant, world-conquering mutant who is 12 feet tall.
Oh, and we forgot about the telepathy.
Yes, the telepathy that he used, that the human part of him discovered that Bruce Wayne was Batman, so gave him all these hints to remember the gold leaf thing because the mutant somehow knew that green light would knock it out. How it discovered that, I don't know. The same way that the scientists discovered the test that reveals that you're a mutant, I suppose.
What is cancer if not for a mutation?
I mean, it literally is. Also, this story very much indicates how compartmentalized individual series were at this point, where the mutant says something about Batman being the only person in the world who'd be a threat to him. Not worried about Superman, huh? Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Flash, Martian Manhunter.
Which is a contrast to another one of our stories, which is very much hey, please go read this other book.
Yes.
Please.
Oh, very much.
Please?
Yes, totally. But this one is still, Despite Barry Allen having been around for 7 years by this point, at least, is weirdly removed. It's the kind of thing that in a modern DC comic, they'd have to find some way to hand wave away as to why the mutant is only concerned about Batman. Here, they just kind of don't bring it up. It's like, you're the only one who could be a threat to my world conquering plans.
This story takes place before all of the other stories.
That works, I guess. I do want to take the test that would indicate if I have the mutant gland. Maybe I'm a mutant. That'd be great.
Well, okay. They weren't really sure whether the mutant gland was going to fully activate. So what if it was just like dormant for forever?
That's possible.
Like why go poking around?
For science.
Science. See, this is what happens when you fuck around and mess with science. You orbit the sun in a rocket. Oh, speaking of rockets and orbiting things, I know a guy who dated one of the Artemis astronauts.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah. We were joking around on text today. The Washington Post had like a picture of Christina Koch coming home to like greet her dog and take her dog to the beach, and I sent that picture to the fellas, and I was like, this could have been Dave. They were stationed together in Antarctica.
Oh, interesting.
And I can only imagine how complicated dating in a South Pole base would be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want a good story about a South Pole base, read Greg Rucka and Steve Lieber's Whiteout.
Yeah. We're big Rideout fans.
But yeah, I don't think we need to stretch this on any longer. Tonight's going to be a nice short episode, I think.
How many times have we said that before, Matt?
I know, I probably just jinxed it. But nonetheless.
Nonetheless, it's time for Batman number 165, Man Who Quit the Human Race! Exclamation point! On the big board!
We are at 705 stories on the big board.
God damn.
Number 1 is Post-Crisis Origin of Batman, Batman Year 1.
Still at a sexy 69 is Batman Annual number 4 from Volume 3 every day.
At 150 is Detective Comics 1027, the 1000th issue of Detective Comics featuring Batman anniversary issue. At 300 is The Secret of the Waiting Graves, the first Denny O'Neil, Neil Adams Batman story.
Coming in real high, not nearly as close to the bottom as it once was, at 420, it's Batman Volume 3, number 24, The Brave and the Mold, beautiful art and Tom King bullshit.
At 450 is No More Teachers, the first volume of the Ed Brisson Batman Inc. series featuring Ghostmaker.
Boo.
At 600 is Or the Land of the Free, the first issue of Larry Hama's brief run on Batman. And at 705, Three Jokers.
What a dog turd of a story. All right, so I'm thinking this is going to be top 15.
Yeah, I think so.
Excellent.
Honestly, I think tonight we have a firm ceiling. I do not think anything is going above Joker's boner tonight.
Oh, of course not. Absolutely not.
Which means the ceiling for the night is 449. Nothing is going above that.
No.
But nothing is going to go below, I think. Nothing's going into the 600s. Tonight is all going to be in the 500s, because I don't think anything also beats Luthor, You're Driving Me Sane at 500.
Yeah, and what is the absolute floor? Yeah, well, you start to get in the early 600s and it starts to get dark.
These are all sort of a piece. These are all probably somewhere between the 530s and the 580s. Like, I'd probably put most of these above Terry's Mom Dates a Splicer at 587. I think that is a hard and fast floor.
So 500 to 587.
No, I think I thought I came up with a slightly lower ceiling than that. But maybe I didn't say it. Maybe I just thought it and didn't say it out loud. All right, so yeah, so let's say between 500 and 587.
I want to say that this one is probably my story of the night, but again, tastes can vary. I would probably put this above Joker the Mask at 545.
But I don't think I would put it above the first appearance of the Riddler at 533. So that's between 545 and 533. That is a narrow window. Commissioner Gordon walks a beat, 538.
I think just under that.
So between that and Batman's baffling turnabout, the story where the crook impersonates Batman and Robin has to figure it out.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, it's funny. The story below that Batman's baffling turnabout has the exact same creative team as this book.
Kind of makes you feel like you found the right spot.
Yeah, a little bit.
Also, what year did the Incredible Hulk drop?
Hulk would have been 63, I believe.
Oh, so close. 62.
Our second story of the night is Batman Battles the Living Beast Bomb. This is Detective Comics Volume 1, number 339. The writer is Gardner Fox, with pencils by Carmine Infantino, inks by Joe Giella, and edited by Julius Schwartz. The cover date is May of 1965. An experiment gone awry has given a gorilla the mind of a man, and Carmack the gorilla is seeking revenge on mankind for mocking him. His next goal? Stealing Batman's wits to aid in his plan. If you wanted a comic to sell well in the Silver Age, you put a gorilla on the cover.
Hell yes, you did. All right, let me tell you where this story lost me, where it would just absolutely lost me. Yes, I can understand a man wanting to harvest all the skills of the animal kingdom, to just poach them and steal them and integrate them into his body. I can understand, perhaps, even by accident, the gorilla getting the man's intellectual powers. But how's the goddamn gorilla gonna get telepathy out of that? Doesn't make sense, Matt.
Oh, I mean, of course not. But it's not like the gorilla is full on telepathic. The gorilla and the mind of the guy are linked.
Mm.
It's not like the gorilla is able to read Batman's mind or Robin's mind. It's that there's some kind of connection between them because of the experiment.
Yes, and when the gorilla is awake, he can control the man. But when the gorilla is sleepy, the man is free.
The gorilla clearly just has stronger will than this nebbish of a scientist.
Well, we all know that scientists are geeks.
This guy is especially. I mean, they make it very clear. He was Weak Wally or whatever Weak Wally they called him. The thing that got me scratching my head is I don't think Bionics was ever studying living creatures and trying to duplicate their abilities in man. I don't think that was ever the definition of Bionics.
No.
The Bionic Man wasn't that. It's cybernetics. The Bionics and cybernetics are synonymous.
According to Google AI, Bionics merges biology with technology to enhance or replace bodily functions through advanced prosthetics, implants, and robotic systems.
There we go.
There we go. From a computer itself.
I will also point out, as we did just discuss above, the Hulk predating this. Gorilla Grodd predates Carmack the Gorilla by 6 years. So DC already had an evil telepathic gorilla hanging out.
Well, you probably wouldn't seek out Gorilla Grodd and try to like do any kind of body swap with him. You'd be like, "Oh, I'm not gonna fuck with that gorilla."
Oh, he'd eat you.
Well, yeah.
I did not wrap my brain around Carmack's scheme here. That was, I think, the thing that lost me the most was that. Okay, I want my revenge on humanity for laughing at me. So I'm going to steal their treasures. They're not going to do anything for me. I don't care about these treasures, but let me steal them to prove a point. Wouldn't it have just made more sense to go on a brutal killing spree if you were Carmack?
That's just what the humans want, right? You're just playing into the human hand.
But,
I mean, if I was an intelligent ape, I would go to the art museums and all of these places where the humans kept their things, and I would just throw poop on them.
Throwing poop on them would make more sense than stealing them.
What am I going to do with one of your human paintings? I do not care for it.
Right. It was just a weird bit of nonsense. And it's, again, we're in very code heavy times. These stories are designed to be goofy and light and not stress anyone out, which again is part of the big difference between this and the manga. Because I was incorrect that the mutant story begins with a guy who is just knocked out by the mutant. It's this story that begins with a corpse, the corpse of the gorilla trainer who sold Carmack to the scientist. That Carmack had the scientist kill because there in the manga, Carmack is flat out homicidal. He wants to kill humanity.
I mean, that's fair.
And he runs around wearing a hood and a cape. He disguises himself so he can fight amongst the humans.
Well, you're not gonna do human face. That's offensive.
And the manga does not feature the titular beast bomb. Oh boy, the science there is. I don't get any of that. How do you have a bomb that if you're right at the center of the explosion, you don't get blown up? Why does the bomb not work if you're not touching the ground? This story has a lot of things about science that doesn't seem to get the science. Just because you're really strong doesn't mean you can punch a light post and not shatter your fingers.
Monkey bones.
It is the thing that I've seen in a bunch of Silver Age stories where they tend to conflate super strength and immortality with invincibility. They are very different things. I gotta find one of my favorite covers that someone clearly didn't get what this meant. I cannot find the cover, and I wish I had thought about it before. But there's an issue of The Flash where Iris West is like, "Don't worry, Flash, for the next 24 hours, I'm immortal." And she's falling out of a plane face first into the pavement. Okay, maybe for the next 24 hours, you're invincible. Because if you're just immortal, you're just going to live the next 24 hours broken into a million pieces.
It's not a good time.
No. Seeing this and like, that Weasley scientist is going to be in real bad shape when those powers go away and every part of him is broken. Is this our first? No, this couldn't be our first story with Carmine Infantino art, is it? No, it's not. Okay. Right, because he did the first appearance of Batgirl and did one of the chapters of Doomsday Book. But Infantino is the guy who breathed new life into Batman art, who designed the slightly updated 60s costume with the yellow oval, and is one of the great Silver Age DC artists. He's the co-creator of Barry Allen. So he's the guy who ushered in the Silver Age of comics, let alone the Silver Age of DC. It is much more dynamic, much more modern looking art than the Sheldon Moldoff stuff from the previous story.
Starting to move away ever so gradually from the thought bubbles.
I mean, that's Gardner Fox. I mean, he wrote comics he wrote The Mad Monk back in 1940 and is still writing here.
Zero retirement plans.
39, excuse me. Mad Monk is 39. Also, the very end here, those last two panels really felt like one of those G.I. Joe and knowing is half the battle PSAs where Batman is talking to the scientist. No, if you go and talk to people and tell them you're interested in them, they'll be interested in you too. You need to go and make friends. G.I. Joe.
Pork chop sandwiches.
As with the manga is much darker than this. There is a lot more threat of bodily harm, and Robin uses a gun in the manga to shoot tranquilizer dart into Carmack, and Robin is sidelined in both this and the next story.
Which one it is his wrists?
The next one.
The next one. What's the problem here?
He has to go to the pep rally.
Pep rally is very important.
When Batman finds Carmack, it's at pep night at school. The living beast bombness of it is very confusing to me. It's wacky, it's Silver Age, but it's still sort of a golden agey kind of vibe. Batman putting anesthetic on his glove so he can punch Carmack in the face and further knock him out.
You get the feeling like they started with the cover and they worked back from there.
You know that's how that happens, right? Were you kidding, or are you? That is how this worked in the Silver Age a lot. Artists would give them covers, and then the cover would be given to the writer, and the writer had to figure out how to get to the cover.
Brilliant.
That was one of Julia Schwartz's tricks for DC, these insane DC stories where let's get a cover and then let the writer figure it out from there. It's the weirdest game of Exquisite Corpse ever. Just trying to see if there's anything else in the manga. I reviewed the manga, but now I'm kind of just going through again and being like, okay, is there anything else that is really noticeable other than maybe because it's difficult to draw gorillas as much over the length of the manga, which is like 5 times as long as this 16-page story, that Carmack is wearing a mask and cape the entire time, because that way you don't have to draw him as a gorilla. Credit to Jiro Kuwata, when he's drawing the animals, the scenes in the zoo, the animals look really good.
You know, the secret to drawing a horse is to not have the horse moving.
Have them stand still, and you're good.
Yeah. Those legs get all spindly and you don't want to mess with that.
Drawing horses. No one wants to do that.
Or feet. Nobody likes feet.
Except for Quentin Tarantino.
Oh. One tired bit deserves another. That hack comedy means it's time. Detective Comics number 339, Batman battles leaving Beast Bomb! Exclamation point on the big board.
I will have you know that is not a hack comment. Bless Quentin Tarantino for many things, but you've seen From Dusk Till Dawn. That man was never happier in his entire life than when he had Salma Hayek's feet in his mouth. But onto this story.
All right, so last story is at 539. I personally would not put this one above that one, but I'm open to debate.
No, I don't think so. I was just commenting on my enjoyment of gorillas in comics.
We do love a gorilla, but not in that way.
Okay. I think Leaves of Grass at 563, where Jason Woodrue is spawned out of weed plants, I would put this below that.
Probably below Batman, the Superman of Planet X? Question mark? 574?
Ooh, yeah, Zuranar. Robin War is certainly trying to say more at 575.
And then we get to Terry's mom dates the Splicer at 588.
All right. I think we're probably right around 580. Like, I don't think it goes above Batman meets Professor Hugo Strange at 578, the first Hugo Strange story. You know what?
What?
Speaking of how much I love monkeys,
How much you love monkeys?
I think this goes above the Jackanapes story at Time to Monkey Shine, but below the story where Cassandra Cain finds out that Lady Shiva's her mother at 584.
585. Matt, I keep saying this, and we got to do it. We got to do them Joker backups.
We will find a time. We cover a lot of Joker stories. We got to take a break in between some of those Joker stories.
Well, look, we'll have a week where it's just nonsense, just complete, utter, goofy nonsense. And I swear to God, them Joker stories are gonna be in the top 100 because a pregnant Joker. That's fucking funny, unless you're on Fox News.
And our final story of the night is The Weather Wizard's Triple Treasure Thefts. It's a lot of T's, not easy to say. This is Detective Comics Volume 1, number 353. This has the exact same creative team as the previous issue, except we do get a letterer credited with Gaspar Saladino. So it's Gardner Fox, Carmine Infantino, Joe Giella, Julia Schwartz. Cover date is July of 1966. The Weather Wizard one of the Flash's rogues, has come to Gotham and helped the city by filling their reservoirs during a drought. And as thanks, he's going to steal three of Gotham's greatest treasures. Can Batman stop a villain whose powers have given the fastest man alive a run for his money? Wow, you let me get away with that? I'm shocked.
I was trying to type the title. What did you do?
Given the fastest man alive a run for his money?
Boo! Oh,
Yeah, I was shocked that you let me get away with that bit of wordplay. Terrible wordplay.
terrible. Get the fuck out. Oh.
I can write these really thoughtful summaries, but sometimes I gotta go for a bad bit of wordplay.
Oh my God. Weather Wizard has such a hard on for Flash in this book.
Yeah, and Weather Wizard is one of the least interesting of the rogues. I have much of a less of a feel for Weather Wizard than I do for Captain Cold or Heat Wave or Captain Boomerang or the modern Mirror Master. The original Mirror Master was also kind of personalityless.
And look, I'm gonna say this for when the Flash podcast arises to challenge us. These rogues are real bad. Like they're just bad. And they're either, Flash mirrors or they have a Colt gun that goes pew. That's it. That's all you got.
How many Flash stories have you read, Will?
3.
Yeah. Listen, don't get me wrong. The rogues are not Batman villain caliber,
Flash is not sending his best, Matt.
but okay, the thing you gotta realize about the rogues are blue collar. That's the whole point, that these guys are criminals who are out there to make money. They're not quite a union, but it's closer to that vibe.
Mm.
And Flash has nemesis who aren't in the rogues. They don't play with Gorilla Grodd or Abracadabra or the various Zooms. Because those guys are crazy. They're world beaters. Or they're after the Flash for psychotic revenge. The rogues are there to steal shit and make money and party. It's a very different vibe.
Yeah. You say all that, and all I hear is just they're lame.
I will let you have your misapprehensions. I won't argue about Mirror Master or Captain Boomerang, but he's lame in that intentionally played as being lame sort of thing, and got way better when he was on the Suicide Squad, thanks to John Ostrander. But, okay, right out of the gate, first 3 panels of this story, I'm like, what the fuck? There is either a miscommunication with the letterer, or Julia Schwartz was too busy pinching a secretary to actually pay attention to what was said on panel 1 of the main story. Because, I mean, you get, your typical golden silver age splash page. And then the great reservoirs that feed water to Gotham City are almost dry, for the drought has lasted 4 years.
4 years of drought.
Those reservoirs would have run dry. It does not take 4 years for your reservoir to run dry. You go 4 months with no rain and you're going to run into that trouble. 4 years, that's insane.
That's the water wars will have started before the 4 years is up.
Oh, yeah. Gotham would have been raiding Metropolis for water. The mutant gang of The Dark Knight Returns would have risen and been doing Mad Max raids on neighboring cities. Bloodhaven would have been taken out. They would have gone into the bay and had to create desalination plants or something.
When do you think we get the first water war, Matt?
I don't want to think about that, thank you. You know my feelings about apocalypses. I'm trying not to go there because we're living through one.
Look, it doesn't have to be an apocalypse. Look, we gotta probably one of our last oil wars right now. We gotta be able to look forward, anticipate what's coming next.
Have you ever seen Waterworld, Will?
I have not.
Yeah, that's the water war that I still am traumatized by. But yeah, so Weather Wizard fills the reservoirs that have run dry after a 4-year drought and then threatens to take, or says he's already stolen 3 of Gotham's great treasures. This story is actually probably the closest to the manga, or the manga adaptation is the closest. They are smart enough to, not say that the drought lasted 4 years in the manga. And the other major difference is that the ruby is not owned by Bruce Wayne. It's just some rich person's ruby.
It's strange how the drought and or the filling of the reservoir doesn't really play into the scheme.
No, and then it starts to rain immediately thereafter. Like Weather Wizard just showed up 2 days before it was gonna actually start raining in Gotham. It's like when you get your car washed and it immediately rains, you get a supervillain to fill your reservoir, and immediately it starts to rain.
It's like rain on your wedding day. Free ride when you've already paid. It's good advice that you just didn't take.
Someone really needs to take a creative writing class to learn exactly what irony is. Speaking of hackneyed bits, pointing out that that's
Oh,
not ironic,
oh,
that's up there with Quentin Tarantino and Feet, man.
hell yeah.
But yes, this story, Robin is sidelined because he injured his wrists playing basketball.
Take that, Frederick Wortham. Literal fucking limp-wristed Robin.
Throughout this whole thing, Weather Wizard, you're right, does not stop talking about Flash. Oh, I can beat the Flash. You don't stand a chance. The Flash is so great. You're
Flash is
not.
the only person who could beat me. I'm just practicing on you. You should read all the Flash adventures in this other book.
By the way, the Flash, he's fast. You're no Flash. Although Weather Wizard was smart enough to remove Batman's utility belt, which his manga counterpart, Go-Go the Wizard, because there's no Flash over there. So he's just Go-Go the Wizard. He doesn't remember to take Batman's utility belt off before sealing Batman in a big block of ice.
But why would you take off the utility belt and then just leave it there with the frozen Batman? Wouldn't you take the utility belt for fucking scrap or for a trophy or to throw in the river? Like, it doesn't make any sense to deprive the Batman of his utility belt only to just leave it there.
Because Weather Wizard says he was going to steal Gotham's 3 great treasures. He didn't say anything else about stealing a utility belt. That would have been one crime too many.
Oh, we all know about the code and its limits on crime. Every villain gets 3 crimes, no more.
When you say you're gonna do 3 crimes, you have to do only those 3 crimes.
As plots go, this one is not that bad in that we announce, aha, I have stolen the 3 best things of Gotham. And then all of the rich shits in Gotham are like, oh, let me go call my insurance adjuster and make sure my most expensive thing is still there. So if you were going to generate a list of the most expensive and nicest things in Gotham, there are probably worse ways to go about it.
Yeah. And Weather Wizard had, he tapped the guy's phone line. And I like that Batman was smart enough to play into that. Like, all right, we're going to steal something from Bruce Wayne. And then Weather Wizard's going to want to steal it from whoever stole it. So now I'll just be waiting for him. Ha ha. Only Batman underestimated Weather Wizard.
He's no Flash.
We are at the Batman has encountered Mr. Freeze already, so it's not like he's not used to cold guys. But I mean, at this point, Freeze was a pretty minor villain. Probably we'd only had the Mr. Zero appearance before this. Weather Wizard, he's a real Zero.
Oh, God.
Hey, it's the Silver Age, so I am talking like a Silver Age Robin. All the wordplay. This is to me sort of the middle of the 3 tonight.
Yeah,
I
I think
think
that's fair.
the plot, as you said, it does work fine. Robin does come in to save the day in the end. I do question Okay, they confront Weather Wizard in the museum, and Robin saves Batman by pushing over a big stone statue that kind of knocks into Weather Wizard and distracts him, but it breaks. Is Robin going to be spending his allowance for the next century paying off a massive Mayan statue that he just shattered?
The proceeds of which, of course, would go directly back to the museum and not to the native people of Mexico.
Of course not. Why would we repatriate the treasures that various museums have stolen from indigenous peoples?
Nonsense.
Literally, not too long ago, the Benin bronzes, these bronze pieces that were taken from the Kingdom of Benin, which is now in Nigeria, they have these beautiful pieces that are like a ton of, they're all over the world. And many of them are in the British Museum. And when the Nigerian people went to the British Museum and was like, we'd like our things back, the British Museum flat out said, well, we could take care of them better than you would know how to.
Dude.
Yeah, exactly. Because colonialism sucks. So before we wander any further afield, I think we're good.
Oh, it's time. Detective Comics number 353, The Weather Wizard's Triple Treasure Thefts on the big board.
So if we said this is in the middle, that means we're between 539 and 585. Is this better than the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh?
I want to put this above Bouncing Baby Boy, so I'm going to have to say yes.
Okay. I don't necessarily agree with that, but you are
Okay. I'm flexible as always. You think Zur-En-Arrh is better?
I can give it to you. I can actually put it below, in between the great Clayface, Joker Clayface feud at 570 and Batwoman's publicity agent at 571, simply for the significance of one of these early sort of crossovers in between different corners of the DC universe that weren't happening outside of, World's Finest or Brave and the Bold. There is something significant about that.
So the new 571, you say?
Yes.
All right.
And that does it for tonight. Next week, Josh Wheel is joining us to read 3 stories featuring Dick Grayson, written by Tim Seeley. Remember, you can support the podcast on Patreon at patreon.com/batchat with Matt and Will, where you can get shoutouts, bonus content, pick a story, and even come on the show. We'd like to thank those Patreon backers: Dan Grote, Josh Wheel, Mrs. Abigail Hartbaum, Asma Fangirl, Tony Thornley,
Go Aggies.
Sam Hopper,
Go to bed, Sam. It is so late.
John Wickham,
John, you beautiful, beautiful Bobby boy. Love you.
Tim Rooney, Jojo Sergioli, David Wheel,
World's Greatest Gray Belt.
Alexander Wheel, Matt McThorne,
McThorny.
Dan Offer, Nate Randell, Daniel Mosley, Ross Holmes,
Mr. Random Ace.
Will Crisp,
Me compadre.
Carlos Cordova, Jordan Jennings, Charlie Etheridge Nunn, Sean Shambly, The Final Wraith,
The scariest wraith.
and Kyle Still
Still the one.
for their support. This show is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music/Audible, YouTube Music, Podbean, and on comicsxf.com, when new episodes drop every Thursday. You can find me on Blue Sky, where I talk about comics and other random things, and Letterboxd, where I review all the movies I watch, both at MattLaz1013.
Oh, and I continue to be on The Bad Place at Will Nevin and The Good Place at Will Nevin and on Goodreads at Will Nevin. We finished a little early tonight, a hair, a scooch. I'm going to heat up some dinner, get something to drink, and then I'm going to go to bed and feel off all day Wednesday because we're not recording and I'm not reading for the show. But that's tomorrow's problem. Good night, Huntsville.
And be sure to visit ComicsXF at comicsxf.com or ComicsXF on Blue Sky for our weekly Friday Bat Chat roundup of new Bat books. For my other show, the ComicsXF Interview Podcast, where my longtime best friend Dan Grote and I interview comics creators, retailers, publishers, journalists, and other related tradespeople, as well as all the other stuff Will and I are writing. And stay safe out there, folks. Gotham is not a place to be after dark.